So I'm giving this YouTube channel, content creator, whatever you call it, thing a go. I'm not the world's greatest welder, not the world's worst. Spend a lot of time on my business and been building it for the last 3 or 4 years. We're slowly getting there. I watch a lot of videos, Chucky 2009, Jody from Welding Tips and Tricks, Weld.com, Mr. Tig, all those guys, Jimbo's Garage. There's dozens of channels out there on YouTube that really provide some excellent content on different techniques and ways to weld. I recently hired an apprentice in the last year, and he's been working with me now for 7 or 8 months, and he's come a long way. And the one comment he always makes to me is, man, I wish they showed me this in school. He has an associate's degree in applied science for welding technologies or something along those lines. It's amazing. I went to a county college in the Northeast and got a basic welding class, and that was the extent of my training, and did a few certifications since then and learned a lot on the job. So the disconnect for me, or for him specifically, seems to be in the area of how to problem solve and how to make a repair or effect a repair. And there's no easy way to address that. So the concept is to create a channel to do that. I'm not going to pretend to always have the right answer, but I try to build things to the best of my abilities and to not break again. Because if I have to go back and repair something I already repaired, then I didn't do my job the first time, and there's usually compensation or discounts or doing the job even for free because you have to make it right. I don't pretend to be anything more than an average guy who has a lot of background in different forms of construction and mechanical work, and just been all over the place in my 30 some odd years on this planet. I've been fortunate to work under some great mentors, and I hope to be able to share some information to really help some people. So I'll apologize now for my video editing. It's going to be choppy because I'm a welder, not a video guy. I have some friends that are hopefully going to help me through this and help me make things smooth. So bear with me as I try to piece together my thoughts. When it comes to addressing and problem solving and figuring out ways to fix something that's broken, there are some scenarios where there's really only one good way to do it, and there's other scenarios where there's more than one way to skin a cat. You could probably talk to 100 welders and they're going to tell you 6 different ways to do it. Ultimately, you want to find the most efficient, but also the most effective. You can't really compromise on effective versus efficient. You can't go for the quickest repair because that may not hold up, and you can't go for the most effective repair because that might take you days to complete. And in my experience, people don't necessarily want to pay. You get some guys that want it fixed 1,000% and want it to be better than it was before, and others just want the quote-unquote meatball repair. They just get it back together, get me through this storm, or do what you need to do to get it running because I can't afford to have it down any longer. The trend for me, at least in customers, has been, people just don't want to pay. A lot of times you get customers that don't want to pay on the spot, or if it's a company, they have terms because they have to cut you a check. There's all kinds of hurdles to overcome in running a business. And it's a little bit off topic of problem solving, but I'm working under the assumption that if you're watching this video, you're either an apprentice or somebody who's in the field that either aspires to have your own business at some point. You're working on building your business, whatever it may be. There's no bad information really. Again, getting back to the other guys, you got these guys out there. I've watched so many videos over the years, just from the aspect of running my business, not even advice on welding. If I get into something screwy that I've never done before, I'll try and find videos of what other guys did, and that's a useful technique for problem solving. You can do a lot. We don't have a lot of downtime but you have a crappy day weather-wise where you can't do anything, hop online, look at some videos, look at the way things are being repaired. There's guys that put out videos of how they fix this or how they fix that, and you can see the way that they built their structures or put pieces back together or patch things up. And that can be very, very effective to see, to watch that video and say to yourself, how would I do this? Would I do it that way? Could I do it a little bit better? I know Chucky 2009 talks about the keyboard commandos all the time, and people are not always going to be happy with what you do. It's just a way of life. Some of the people are going to be happy some of the time, and that's good enough. It's impossible to make some customers happy. But if your job holds up and you're confident in it and it proves itself over time, then you did your job. It's a tough field, at least in the Northeast, and for me, because I don't have a lot of clients that are always throwing work at me. I have a few. I have some cell companies and people that do telecommunications that give me steady work, every other month, and they're decent sized jobs. But I'm working for the the $500, $600 jobs, 2 or 3 of them a week just to keep the business afloat. I have mouths to feed at home, and my apprentice has mouths to feed, and you got to make payroll every week, and it's not easy. And that's kind of relates to problem solving specifically, because you got to know what your customer's looking for. You give a guy 1,000% job and it's 10 times better than it was, but it's going to cost them $1,500, and they were looking for a $500 repair or $800 repair. That's tough. The people that, at least that I've found, that are doing repairs on equipment or fixing things, they're not on an unlimited budget. They're not always the huge companies. They're the same as you and I. They have a small business, maybe a few employees, and they're looking just to keep it going. And they're scraping money together every month to make their payroll and to keep their equipment running. If I had a nickel for every time I did a job on a machine that was literally falling apart, or it was held together by duct tape and bubble gum, I'd be in pretty good shape probably. It's unfortunate. Everybody's kind of struggling out there. So you got to know your customers, and I try to take the honest approach with integrity and be as upfront as I can. I've had people tell me that I'm a terrible welder and that I should, park my truck and hang up my welding hood. And, I bent over backwards to accommodate them and told them up front what I would do for them and how I would reduce my rate. And then it came time to pay the bill, and, I was accused of some awful things, and it doesn't, I'm not even going to give it any more attention than that. But, it just goes to prove that you're not going to, satisfy everybody all the time. So to get back to problem solving, because I kind of went on a rambling tangent, I was inspired by Chucky 2009, and if you're out there watching this, Chucky, Stretch, whatever you want to go by, you are my inspiration, and I don't mean that in a creepy, weird way. I mean that in, watching your videos, that I want to help people not have the same problems that I've had, and the issues that I've had, and I find myself constantly trying to find ways to help my apprentice come up to speed, because it helps my business, it helps him feed his family, and if I can put out good information out there and help some people, that's awesome, because we all got to help each other. We're all in this together. So anyways, I'm gonna wrap that up because I'm rambling now, and nobody wants to watch a 40-minute video of some chubby guy from the metro New York City area to kind of going on and on about this and that. But we're gonna patch this together and try and make a decent first video out of it, and maybe get some actual camera equipment and some microphones. I'm doing this in the truck right now because I don't, it's windy. We just had a nor'easter here the other day and the wind's still blowing, and I think the constant sound of wind coming over everything wouldn't really do so well. So I'm sitting in one of my trucks and doing this. I'll come back. I'll do another video soon. I'll try and go over how I got my start and do some of those things for the guys that are starting their businesses, and and then maybe we'll jump into some ways that I've worked with my apprentice to kind of bring him along. But to kind of close out that thought on problem solving is, start with your basics and make sure your welding's good, and then start taking on the actual problem solving. Being able to run a bead on a plate, with whatever process you're using is always a great way to start. There's no such thing as too much hood time in my opinion. I honestly wish I had more of it. It seems that, from a business standpoint, the more work I get, the more time I'm spending quoting jobs and not doing them. But when I was getting my start, the best advice I can give to people starting out is get that hood time in. If you're doing a repair, try and look at it and see the ways that it's put together and see the ways it can be reinforced. Remember your shapes, your geometry. I'm fortunate to have studied some engineering to understand a little bit about physics and things of that nature. But you can look all that stuff up online and do your homework and and kind of figure that stuff out. Do you need an engineering degree to do this? Absolutely not. Do you need to have the same background as me to do this? Absolutely not. You can be a very effective welder if you can look at things and kind of figure out how they work or how they're intended to work, and look for the weak points and say, that cracked right there because, or excuse me, that was a fatigue point. How do I fix that so that going forward this problem doesn't reoccur? And then also knowing some basic things, like on frame repairs, the proper way to do it is to patch it first and then plate over it. That's what most people are looking for, because it's a frame member. Yes, you're not supposed to weld on a frame. You're not supposed to do this. You're not supposed to do that. But, sometimes you got to do what you got to do. I'm not advocating it, but, if a customer wants it, cover your ass, tell them that the manufacturer would probably frown upon this, and, that the liability is on you, so to speak. I'll guarantee my welds, but if this is how you want it fixed, this is how I'm going to fix it. So yeah, that's enough rambling for today. I probably got like a 20-minute video already. Getting used to this being on camera thing, or my camera phone thing. So yeah, cheers.